Trading is right around the corner, potentially as early as tomorrow morning's update. So in this video, I want to talk to you guys about trading value. What pets are worth what? If you're going to make a trade between one pet and another, are you getting ripped off? Are you getting good value? And I understand that this is a difficult subject because everyone values things differently, but I hope by the end of this video, you'll at least know not to trade pet Y for pet X because it's a bad trade. So further ado, let's get into the video. But before we get into the video, can you guys do me a favor and hit the subscribe button if you think this kind of video is valuable to you? Because I'm trying to bring you as much value as I can. If it is, hit subscribe and we'll get to 100,000 subscribers. So now let's get into the video. I compiled this value list, this trading tier list based off of two locations, one being trading Discord servers where people are trading this for that and that for this. And since I have been trading for the past few weeks, I've got a decent feel for how things are valued. And I'm also using a bit of a financial value to these guys. Now, while I do not condone using real life money for pets in Roblox. It is against terms of service. You will get banned. Do not do it. However, what I am doing is using these locations that offer these services as a benchmark to see what they price certain pets at versus the other. And that helps me to try and gauge this out and give you this information. So without further ado, for a third time, let me show you what I'm talking about. For your viewing pleasure, I have a tier list with 7 sections. The first section is bulk pets. This is where the majority of pets are going to go. In order to do any trades, you're going to have to offer a whole ton of bulk pets to get something good. As for the non-bulk pets, I'm basing the value around one particular pet, and that pet is the Dragonfly. In my experience, not only is the Dragonfly fairly valuable, he generally lands kind of in the middle of the entire tier list of pets. He's not as good as the rarest pets, and he's not as bad as the bulk. I found him kind of in the middle, so everything is going to be based around the value of a Dragonfly. This is how the chart is going to work. The Dragonfly tier is right here, and as such, I will commentate the Dragonfly and place him right there. Everything above the Dragonfly is worth more than a Dragonfly, so the next section is DF+. That means it's slightly more than a Dragonfly. You might want to do a Dragonfly plus maybe some sweeteners to try and get one of these pets, or you have things that are worth 2 Dragonflies. Again, in your mind, you may think that nothing is worth more than a Dragonfly, and that is up to you to decide. I'm just telling you the financial values I have seen on the internet and the trades I have seen done in the trading Discord servers. All of this information is up to you to interpret, but at least you'll have a baseline not to trade a Dragonfly for, say, a Golden Lab. And then beneath the Dragonfly tier, you're going to have 3 different tiers. Dragonfly minus, which means it's roughly worth a Dragonfly, but maybe a little bit less. You also have something that's worth half a Dragonfly, so usually 2 of these pets from this tier can get you a Dragonfly, or a third of a Dragonfly. So you'll need 3 things from this tier to get a Dragonfly. I must say it again, all of these values are subject to change. They're also subject to interpretation. They're subject to wiggle room, but this is the best we can do for right now. Now, let's actually talk about these pets, shall we? For the most part, most of these pets are going to be in the bulk tier. In fact, so many of them are, I'm not going to bother pull them out. I'll just leave them down here. Pretend down here is going to be the bulk tier. How about we start in the 1/3 Dragonfly tier and work our way up? So for example, a pet that I found is worth roughly a third of a Dragonfly is the chicken zombie. There are a fair amount of chicken zombies out in the wild. Lots and lots of people receive them, and I find that they sell for roughly a third of the value of a Dragonfly. So if you want to trade 1-to-1 a Dragonfly for a chicken zombie, if you're the owner of the chicken zombie acquiring the Dragonfly, that's a good trade for you. If you own the Dragonfly, I'd ask for more than a single chicken zombie. And maybe for the last time in the video, I will say this is all subject to change. This is only as of making the video. This is just a basis. This is just a framework. Trade however you want to trade. This is what I say. After the chicken zombie, I like to see the blood owl, also worth roughly 1/3 of a Dragonfly. He's not worth quite as much as the chicken zombie, but he is relatively valuable. I think it's because he's so relatively rare right now that he is here in this 1/3 Dragonfly tier. If he was ever re-released, you could see him drop down into the bulk tier pretty easily. And one other unit that I find shocking is in this tier and not higher is the red fox, who's worth a bit more than, actually, I think it's worth more than both of these guys. You would imagine that the red fox is higher. I see lots of people trying to trade for red fox, maybe because they're so cute, but his effect is not that good, and financially on the markets, he's not selling for a whole lot, so he's roughly worth 1/3 of a dragonfly, believe it or not. Whether you want to trade your dragonfly for a red fox, that's up to you to decide, but at least now you know maybe you can get 2 or 3 red foxes for the value of a dragonfly. Now we're going to move up into the half dragonfly tier. These guys are roughly worth 1/2 a dragonfly in terms of cost and value, so it's up to you to decide whether you believe this is true or not. The weakest addition in this tier is actually going to be the pterodactyl. He is new, and there are more and more of these guys coming into the market every single day. But right now, because he's the only pet that can apply the wind effect or the twisted effect, and those may rotate out in the winter, he has value now, and he may have even more value in the future if the wind weather effects do rotate in the winter. After him, I find the queen bee is right here in this tier, worth more than the pterodactyl. She's easily worth pretty much exactly half a dragonfly according to the websites. So right now, if you have a queen bee and you can trade up to a dragonfly, that's a pretty good trade in my eyes. Rounding this out, worth maybe 15% more than the queen bee is actually the brontosaurus, wherever he disappeared to. There he is. The brontosaurus, because of his effect, because he makes relatively bigger pets when they hatch, and because he's so rare at like less than 1% or at 1%, and the egg is so new, right now he's worth roughly half of a dragonfly. This could change as more and more eggs come out. His value could go down, so maybe right now is a great time to trade him. So those are all the pets that are worth roughly 1/3 or 1/2 of a dragonfly. Now we're moving into pets that are worth right below a dragonfly. So if you can trade up with this, that's great. I would even trade a dragonfly down for some of these pets because they're so close in value, it really doesn't hurt that much. The mimic octopus is worth less than a dragonfly, but not by a ton. I think it's because of the flexibility of the mimic octopus. This guy can become any pet on your field, but people are continuing to pull the mimic octopus probably at an even faster rate than the dragonfly. I swear, it's just, you see more paradise eggs than you see bug eggs right now. And while copying the effect of another pet is very strong, being able to turn your crops gold is so powerful. That's why the dragonfly is just worth a little bit more than the mimic octopus right now, according to the data I could find. But now we're starting to get into the fun. Now we're going to talk about some of the pets that are worth more than a dragonfly. I have 3 pets down here worth a bit more than a dragonfly and 2 pets worth double a dragonfly right now. The first pet is the butterfly. People find the butterfly more valuable than the dragonfly because the dragonfly makes gold, but the butterfly makes rainbow. And rainbow is significantly more valuable and desirable than gold. Even though he's even rarer than the dragonfly. Actually, I think they're both roughly the same rarity right now. 1% drop from those eggs. Regardless, the dragonfly is not nearly as valuable as the butterfly. So if you can trade your dragonflies for butterflies, that's a win in my books. After the butterfly, you have the raccoon, slightly more expensive than the butterfly, so I'll rank them above. Raccoons rock. Everybody knows that. If you can trade up to the raccoon, you do it every single time. Raccoons equal shekels. They equal trillions of shekels if you can leech off of somebody's garden with great fruits. Raccoons, everyone loves them. If you have them, they're valuable. If you're trading down, if you own a raccoon, make sure you get lots of pets when the trading system comes out. And finally, another pet worth roughly the same as a raccoon, but maybe slightly more according to the markets, is the disco bee, being the only source outside of admin abuse of the disco effect. This is number 1, this is number 2, and this is number 3 pets just above the worth of a dragonfly. If you can trade a dragonfly for any of these pets, you're doing pretty good. And if you can trade a dragonfly down to a mimic, that's still pretty good. It's not horrible. Now, there are 2 pets worth roughly double a dragonfly according to the markets. Now, again, I will say this one more time. This is subject to change as pets come out and such. Let's talk about those 2 pets, shall we? The first of the 2 pets worth probably 2 dragonflies. This guy's worth slightly less than 2 dragonflies, but I'll round it up and call it 2 dragonflies. And that guy is the fennec fox. Right now, according to the markets, you need 2 dragonflies to get a fennec fox. This has to be because the fox is so relatively new and very rare in the eggs, and those eggs are hard to find. There's just not a lot of foxes going around, and there's lots of demand for foxes, so their value in the markets is worth twice that of a dragonfly. If you can trade a dragonfly for a fox, go for it. It's a great trade. And right now, the single most expensive normal pet in the game is probably going to be a shock to no one. That is the Tyrannosaurus Rex. The T-Rex in the market is easily more than worth 2 times a dragonfly. So you can trade 2 dragonflies. You can probably still even trade 2 of any of these 3 guys and still make, I guess I could use the word profit, but in terms of value, I would trade 2 butterflies or 2 raccoons for a T-Rex right now, according to the markets. If you can do a 1-for-1, that's a great deal. Now, there's one classification, one section of pets that throw all of these pets out the window. If you want things that are worth multiple dragonflies, you have to talk about huge pets. Now, I have 4 pets to explain how quickly and silly this gets based off of the markets. A useless pet that is huge, like a bunny. Bunnies don't have great effects, and there are lots of pets in the game that are very common and don't have great effects. Even this guy is financially worth roughly the same as a dragonfly, maybe dragonfly plus, perhaps a raccoon. In fact, it's actually rated very close to a raccoon. So useless huge pets are generally worth a raccoon. In fact, I traded raccoons for all these pets you're about to see, so you'll see how well I worked out in the end. Then you start to get to the world of big pets that have useful effects, like this hedgehog. The hedgehog is worth 3 raccoons. 3 of them. He's actually worth close to like 5 dragonflies. The golden lab with a very useful effect is, this is getting stupid. This guy is worth like 5 raccoons. 5 of them. It's insane. Again, this data is based off the market. This can change. This Titanic toucan is worth like 8 raccoons. And then you get into the silly territory. We're talking huge raccoons, huge dragonflies, huge queen bees. Those guys are worth like 8 to 10 to 12 raccoons a piece. So that is my tips for you for where the trading market is right now. This can change. I hope this information was useful to you, and I hope you can take this information forward with you so that when the trading system comes out, you can make better, more educated decisions off of value so you know whether you're getting a good deal or you know whether you're getting ripped off. If this video was valuable to you, please hit subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. And as always, guys, thank you very much for watching.